100% out, right?
Yes. Well, yes and no. I maybe make one last phone call if that's what you mean. Like, hey, look, we're getting into the bidding on free agents. Are you out? Maybe do it a little more tact than that.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think you have to know going in, and I would assume at this point I don't feel very confident about my lunch bet with Kang. So go make your move.
What was your lunch bet with Kang again?
That Ragnar would be on the Lions roster.
Okay.
The opening game.
Number 2 on the offseason to-do list is listed as Double Decker at 32. Taylor Decker, the left tackle. At 32, Taylor Decker has plenty of good football left in his body, but said in December he's considering retirement and might need a couple of months to make that decision. If Decker decides to play another season, the Lions might still target his replacement early in the draft. He's got to let him know. Like, the more I thought about this, because we talked about it yesterday in the Penei Sewell quotes, he deserves time and space. In the world of professional football, you unfortunately lose some rights. And one of the things is there are dates on the calendar that are important for a team that they need to know your plans. We cannot have another Ragnow situation. And it might happen could happen when like the Ragnow situation, had they anticipated it and forced the hand in February, what would he have said? If a year ago they said, look, it's now or never, you got to let us know because we got to start playing for free agency and draft if you're not playing. Would Ragnow at that time, he probably would have said, I'm done then, right?
I mean, if you force him into it, I have no idea. I mean, eventually he did let them know, but it was after the draft. So do you have that same feeling back in February that you would in May? Maybe not. Maybe it's different. Maybe in February you're like, okay, I just got done playing. I feel like hell, but this is just how I feel like every year, so I'm going to go at it. And then months down the road, you're like, I still feel like hell. I was supposed to feel better, and I don't. And that's the tough part for these guys, right? Because linemen are just banged up like crazy. And it in some respects, I'm going to guess that it takes longer to determine for your body to heal up and to determine if you can go through the rigors of another season. If your body doesn't typically heal up until, April after the season wears off, how are you supposed to make a decision in February?
I don't know, but
it's tough, and I get it. But it is a business, and players know it. The league knows it. The teams know it for sure. And I don't think there's anything wrong with if the Lions were to press a little bit and say, "Hey, look, free agency starts next week. Can we know? Are you getting a feeling about this one way or the other?"
Right, they have every right.
We would, and of course, you say we would love to have you back. We know there's a lot of football. Even the way Burkett worded it was interesting. He says, "Look, he's 32 years old, but Taylor Decker has a lot of good football left."
I thought that was too. I didn't, because I have concerns about where Taylor Decker, if he stays, what's he going to be? Is he one of these guys that we're going to get diminishing returns every year, or does he a healthy offseason have him back, brand new in the fall?
Like is the shoulder not an issue?
Yep.
Like, the shoulder feels great. I've had no issues with it. In fact, it's getting better and better every day, and I have more range of motion now than I did before. I'm good to go. Or is it going to be something you have to manage each and every week? He's going to be on the injury report each and every week, and there'll be games that he's going to miss. And even if when he's playing, he's better than the other options they have. There's no doubt about that. But they have to know what he's going to do. And I don't know what the date is, if it makes more sense if the decision comes before the draft or if it comes after June, or when you make your cuts, how different it is if a player retires. How does that change things up? But what we do know is if he's not on the roster, there is a cap savings.
So the number one thing is figure out the center position. Number 2 is figure out what Taylor Decker's going to do. And number 3, shake it to the max. And here's what he wrote about Max Crosby, the elite edge rusher who says he will never play again for the Las Vegas Raiders. Crosby is reportedly furious about the Raiders' decision to place him on injured reserve in December and may seek a trade this spring. Team, and then he writes, wrong one here. Then he writes, even if Crosby hits the market, it seems unlikely that the Lions would be able to get him, but unlikely isn't out of the question.
Oh boy, Dave, what are you doing?
So here's the thing about this is we've talked about it because when his name comes up, when any player's name comes up, we think, okay, how does it impact us? Crosby to the Detroit Lions would take a lot of maneuvering under the cap and with the roster to make it even possible.
That's two things.
And you'd have to give up compensation to the Raiders.
That's the other part, yeah.
It's more likely to impact us if he gets traded to a team in the NFC.
Yes.
That's a more likely way it's going to impact. I'm sort of glad Dave wrote it, but because we talk about it, and it's sort of validation that it is a legitimate topic, because when we brought this up, when he first said it 2 weeks ago, it was met with hostility from Lions fans. Why are you even doing this? And we have to explain, okay, we're doing it because it's a big name and his name's out there. Neither of us think it's going to happen. Dave says unlikely isn't out of the question. So what do you do with this?
I think it's always you have to explore the option and see if it makes sense, first of all. And if you're going to prioritize things on this roster, this is why you need to know about Taylor Decker. Because if Taylor Decker decides to retire, it frees up perhaps $11 million. And now you're getting on the plus side of, okay, now we have actually money we can spend. We're going to have to find other ways to do it, restructure contracts or whatever, just to get free agents in. If Graham Glasgow, if you move on from Graham Glasgow as well, it's going to save you even more. But it also, you start looking at holes you're creating. We've talked about the offensive line being the priority. Defensive end, edge rusher isn't necessarily the priority. But when a player like Max Crosby becomes possible, you have to think about that and see how you have to weigh that. Does getting that extra edge rusher who's a mirror image of Aiden Hutchinson and having both of those guys on a team, will that help your defense out more to give you the edge than what you're losing offensively?
If you're going to bend over and maneuver and let guys go and do all this, would you rather do it for Linderbaum or Crosby?
My head tells me it's Linderbaum because the offense is closer to being elite than the defense is. And I think if you got Linderbaum back, you would see this offense humming along just fine. Now, you still have an issue with the tackle. Back? Well, if you're Linderbaum, I'm sorry, because I think about the team that they had with Frank Ragnow, and the offense was humming along, and Linderbaum could bring you back to that. However, you still have to fix the left tackle situation. Even if you move Penei Sewell over there, then they have a right tackle situation, and they don't have that in-house.
If you start clearing salary cap, cutting guys, and making it all happen, Kang, would you rather do it for Linderbaum or Crosby?
Listen, the smart decision is probably Linderbaum, but I told you last week, I am kind of really distracted by this bright, shiny object that is Max Crosby because I never, ever thought it was realistic. Not that it's realistic now, but it's more realistic than it was before because the fact is, if it's true that he will never play for the Raiders again and he wants out, that means he's going to be on the move somewhere. Now, does that mean the Lions are on that list? It seems like it because he's mentioned the Lions before. If you look out national, they'll post odds, and the Lions are always near the top. Maybe they don't know our salary cap situation, but you could trade an Aleem McNeil to help offset that. And then if Decker retires or you cut him, there's more money there. You rework Goff's contract. The numbers could possibly work out. But as far as from a football perspective, you probably want Linderbaum because this, right?
And you don't have to give up anything. You don't have to give the Ravens any compensation. More on Dave Burkett's to-do list coming up at 12:46, plus your phone calls and feedback, 97.1. Hey, is your credit card statement looking a little festive? It's time to make your money work for you again. With the UMCU Visa Platinum Cash Rewards Card, you can move those high-interest balances over with no transfer fees and 0% APR for 6 months. You earn 1.1% cash back on every grocery run gas fill-up ahead of. Rather get ahead and stay there. Visit umcu.org to get started, insured by NCUA. Doug Harsh, Scott Anderson, 97.1. Also on the list of the offseason to do is David Montgomery's future. That's number 4. And Dave, the most interesting thing he wrote there is the Lions should be able to get a day 3 pick for him if they decide to move on. Okay. I mean, that's if you want to see him shake some stuff up, create some cap space. It wouldn't be a ton of cap space, right? It would be some, a little bit. Day 3, so around 4, 5, 6, or 7. And my belief in teams that crush the draft are the only magic to the formula is they're the teams with the most picks. The teams that value mid-round picks and late-round picks actually typically do better in the draft. New England, in the New England heyday, they were trading out of the first round all the time for more picks. Now, is an extra 6th round pick going to make that much of a difference? Well, probably not. But if you keep doing it and just get a lot more, it can make a difference over the course of time. Let's get to your phone calls. Matt in St. Clair Shores. Hi, Matt.
Hey, boys. I think what's more important, whether or not Decker comes back, is we can't bring him back at his current salary. So we have to figure out if he's going to restructure, because bringing him back at 20 when cutting him would bring us, I think it's like 10 to 12 million back. We need that cap space. So it's not a question of, hey, Taylor, are you healthy enough to come back? It's, Taylor, are you willing to restructure and come back? And that's my other question is, ASB, Goff, and Sewell are also on the restructure block. So when are we going to find out if Holmes and them are going to agree to restructure? Is that going to be before free agency starts in a couple of weeks, or is that something that we can sign guys and then restructure the other guys? Because I know the cap isn't really real in theory, and then the cap goes up, but what's the timeline on those guys getting their deals reworked?
I don't know, to be honest with you, and I apologize. I'm not going to lie to you. Matt, I think the thing about it is we haven't been in this situation. So I don't know that we've ever been down this road before where we've really had to do a lot of cap finagling. So I have no experience to rely on this. I will see what we can find out with a Google search, because I do not know that answer, Matt. Sorry.
All right, enjoy your hand, boys.
Yeah, thank you.
You know the answer? Kang, do you know the answer? Do you have to do the restructuring before free agency, or can you do it later?
I don't know. And just thinking about when they've done, because part of this Burkett article seems to indicate that they'll definitely get deals done with Jack Campbell, Jahmyr Gibbs. Those are the first round picks that they had that can be up because this is the 4th year. You can give them the extension now. Does it make more sense to give them the extension now or wait till after next year based on if you're trying to save money for the cap?
Matt, here's apparently the answer to your question. Google search, NFL contract restructuring is primarily done in the weeks leading up to the new league year in March and throughout the offseason to create immediate cap space. While it can technically occur at any time to free up funds, it's most common when teams are over the cap, preparing for free agency, or looking to sign draft picks.
So in the next few weeks.
Yep. And when does NFL free agency start? I think it's the beginning of March.
9th or something like that.
Yeah, let me, one moment, please. March 11th.
Even better.
So less than a month to go. Robert in Dearborn. What's up, Robert?
Piggybacking on what Matt said, it's $20 million. I guess he has left 1 year. Couldn't you make it, let's say, $20 million?
You're breaking up pretty bad, Robert. Can you start all over? You were breaking up pretty bad.
Okay, just a second here.
Yeah, I don't know if
Even what Matt said, couldn't we make $1 million over 3 years?
Robert, it's not working. Now, there's something wrong with your cell, so I don't know. We don't know what you're trying to say. 248-539-9797. Phone calls, feedback. Levi, Pascal. This is from Scott in Waterford. Sorry. Levi, Pascal, Rakestraw, Arnold, and Mills for a sweetener for Crosby. Levi, Pascal, Rakestraw, Arnold. And he writes, and Terry Mills for a sweetener? What? Is he trying to make a joke?
I don't know.
Okay, you realize that's not going to get it done. They're going to want draft picks. Stephen Madison Heights. I think the Lions would have a better chance of digging up Bing Crosby than signing Max Crosby.
He's got a shovel.
All right, here you go. J-Mo and 2 firsts for Crosby. Both players make roughly $30 million.
That's a legitimate trade.
I mean, that's a legitimate offer.
I mean, would I? Yes, I would. I would. Well, 2 firsts, I don't know about 2 firsts. 2 firsts that's a lot. For 2 firsts and JMO, I probably would not. A first and JMO and maybe some other draft pick, I would. Would you?
Well, let me start with this. Whoever sent this, credit you. Because the first guy gave us a bunch of players that they wouldn't want. Then a couple players they might want.
Here's the
but
problem.
It's not nearly enough. This guy, whoever sent this and didn't sign it, JMO and 2 firsts for Crosby, sounds like something that if we were in Vegas, you'd be like, yeah, I think we could do that.
The problem is if it's the NBA, it works out 100%. It's the NFL, it's different. So now you got accelerated.
Yeah. There might be some cap issues because
how much you're going to have to, how much
one
would
of
you
the
have in
things-
dead cap money with
let me
JMO?
go
Now
look
that you
here.
moved him.
let me go look here what JMO's dead cap number is because
And on top of that, you're taking on the salary of Crosby. But what's the dead
JMO
cap?
has a dead cap number of $25.493 million.
So that's not likely to happen there.
JMO's cap hit this year is 8.7 or 8.2, sorry, 8.27 to be exact. But yeah, if you could make it work on the salaries, that sounds like a compensation. But that dead cap number is money you take on. You don't lose. You get no cap relief. In fact, you take a bigger cap hit. You'd still have to maneuver under the cap a lot. Kang, you're the bright, shiny thing guy. Would you do JMO and 2 firsts for Max Crosby?
He also loves JMO.
I do love JMO, but I mean, as far as what's easier for me to find? A receiver.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean the first two first round picks, so that's tough to replace.
But you can find receivers in free agency on the cheap too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
easier to find a receiver. I mean, the best receiver on the team was a 4th round pick.
Yeah.
Crosby's going to Philly for A.J. Brown. Don't ask how I know, but we know, writes this unnamed texter.
If you're Philadelphia, is that what Philly needs?
To get rid of A.J. Brown,
is it even
maybe.
what Detroit
I mean, get
needs?
rid of AJ.
Hold on.
You're right. To get rid of AJ Brown might be the first thing they need to do. But I mean, adding another edge rusher to that.
Is it
team?
even what Detroit needs? Lions finished top 10 in the league in sacks and pressures.
Yeah, but you could.
I love the
acknowledge-
idea of upgrading it, but when you start talking about needs,
I understand it, but it's a different position. What Max Crosby does is completely different than Al-Qadim Muhammad. Max Crosby is relentless pressure every play, like Hutchinson is, and that would change. Obviously, would change. the
you
game.
think you think Max is a better player than El-Qudim
Well,
Muhammad?
it's
Thanks,
not,
Scott.
But Doug, it's not just that he's a better player; it's a totally different.
Yes.
type. So he changes the defense where it makes your secondary better because the quarterback has way less time.
I guess the same way the same way you asked the question, is that
were
what
yelling
Philly
at me.
needs? I was, but I'm like, do you think I need to explain to me that El-Qudim Muhammad is not as good a player as Max Crosby? Do you think I need that? Anyway, the point being, well, come on. Does Detroit need it? I think it's the same thing as it is with Philly. There's other more pressing needs, right?
Yeah, but there's a philosophy there too.
Well, the
Does this
philosophy
player
is
being added to your defense make your defense so much better that it makes up for what you're losing on offense?
248-539-9797.
The other part of that, the big problem there is I can acknowledge you can find receivers throughout the draft or in free agency, but you're not going to find Jamison Williams on the cheap, a comp for that in free agency. You can find
if
solutions
you do-
that'll help you out, but you still have the problem with the offensive line.
If you do that, then you're looking at wide receiver at 17.
No.
That's a possibility. If you trade JMO, wide receiver at 17 is in play.
I would hope that wouldn't be the case, but I mean, you're right. But I think that even Brad Holmes can look at himself and say, I found receivers all over the place. I don't need to go back to the first round, even though he used a first round pick on a receiver.
Yep. Well, but that would be something that it would totally change the tenor of the draft in the offseason. But that's the first real thing that we've seen. But the cap would still be an issue with that. Let's talk some Tigers with the Birchie Kid next from down in Lakeland on 97.1.
Spring training is underway, and as the Tigers brought back an old friend in Justin Verlander, they've reminded fans of past glory days. The team may have some jerseys intended to evoke the same emotions as well. Leaked uniforms have circulated on social media in recent weeks. The leakers cite a trailer involving the Tigers in the MLB The Show video game that showed Tarek Skubal in an orange jersey with white pants. Another leak suggests that the same orange jersey and a navy blue one with Detroit in script was found through Fanatics.com. Things got more interesting today when the team posted a graphic on Twitter of what appears to be a gas station cooler with the silhouettes of two jerseys hidden behind frosted glass. In the glass, seemingly written by someone's finger, one jersey is labeled navy and the other orange. The cooler itself is labeled, quote, a fresh take on a Detroit classic, and the caption to the post reads, quote, cooling paused, leak detected, coming soon, ... as the team appears to have acknowledged the leaks and their legitimacy. Tigers open the season on the road in San Diego on March 26th. Their home opener is scheduled scheduled for April 3rd. And today, Paramount Plus announced a new 4-part docuseries titled Made for March that will debut on Saturday, April 4th. The doc will chronicle the Kansas Jayhawks and Michigan Wolverines men's basketball teams, seemingly following them around the season in their bid for a national championship. The release date of the doc is scheduled to come out on the first day of the Final Four. And USA Hockey's back today in just over 2 hours. They'll take on Latvia for their first group stage game of these Olympics. At the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Brendan Shabat. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket or Odyssey.com.
Doug Harsh, Scott Anderson at 97.1 The Ticket. Good to be with you here on a Thursday in Detroit. As promised, it's time that we go down to Lakeland and speak with the Birchie Kid who joins us from the Tigers spring training facility. Birchie, how you doing?
I'm doing great, fellas. It is steamy down here today. We're approaching 80. It's sunny. I'm sweating just sitting here. Couldn't feel any better.
All of Birchie's appearances are brought to you by your Metro Detroit Jeep dealers. And JV spoke today. I thought the best part of it was telling him about Scooble's tour of he gave him of the clubhouse. But what stood out to you?
Yeah, well, it's funny you bring that up because we just talked to Scooble about it, and Scooble thought that JV was joking about that when JV approached him for a tour of the clubhouse and the grounds. So he went through it in sort of a jocular manner, but JV was actually looking for some insight into how things have changed down here in Lakeland since he was here last. So as Scooble tells it, he was walking around and he would say obvious things in jest, like, and there's the dining room. Oh, there's the field. JV was like, no, I'm actually wondering if you can help me out here. And eventually they came around a corner, and sure enough, there was a picture of JV on the wall, and Tarek was like, oh, and there you are on the wall, Justin Verlander. So they might have to update the photos from down here and maybe add Tarek up there with JV. But so a little background on JV's return to Detroit. He was very keen on a return last offseason. And in fact, he and I spoke about this last May when he came to Detroit, then with the Giants, was injured. And he was very open and honest about having contacted the Tigers around last December and expressing interest in pitching for them last season. And the Tigers at the time basically told him, thanks, but no thanks. They didn't see a fit for him in the rotation. They told him they were going young. He admitted that it then kind of confused him as to why they turned around and signed a veteran, Alex Cobb, for the same deal that JV would sign with the Giants. A year later, the timing was right for a reunion. Part of the Tigers' reticence last year was the fact that JV was coming off his worst season in the majors, marred by injuries, much different this time around. He rediscovered his dominance last year in the second half of the season, pitching like peak JV in a lot of ways, and that compelled the Tigers to give him a look. And he said when the season ended last year and the Giants were knocked out of the playoff race, he began thinking about where he wanted to pitch next, and his mind just kept coming back to home, to Detroit. And so he reached out personally to Scott Harris, to A.J. Hinch, and to Chris Ilitch. And as he said, let my intentions be known. Let them know that he wanted to pitch again for the Tigers. And at first, it didn't seem like that would come to fruition. The Tigers didn't have much room for him. Then, of course, as we discussed yesterday, Reese Olson gets hurt. They reached back out, and the timing was right. So a long time coming to bring JV home.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about how he's different this time around. He's obviously he's older. But can you tangibly see, or did he elaborate on how he himself views it as a different time to come around this year, this late in his career, and how he is, matured as a person or as a player?
Yeah, all of it. He is a different man now than he was when he left Detroit. He's obviously a different pitcher than he was when he left Detroit. Maybe the biggest growth he's made off the field, aside from like becoming a dad, I guess, whatever that is growing as a teammate. And he was very honest, sincere about that today. He acknowledged that he really wasn't a great teammate early in his career when he would put horse blinders on and just focus on what he needed to do to pitch the best that he possibly could. And he also said, look, I don't regret that. That's what I needed to do then to thrive at that stage of my career. But as he's grown older, he said he's become more cognizant about being present for his teammates, about being more open in the clubhouse, being more approachable, being proactive in seeking younger guys out who might be looking for advice. And that version of JV didn't really exist here his first time around. It does now. That's also part of the Tigers' interest and inclination to bring him back, knowing that he'll actually elevate this clubhouse and this culture that has been a strength of this team for a few years instead of, potentially undermining it. And then as a pitcher, something Scott Harris said yesterday caught my eye. He was talking about the changes that JV made at the All-Star break last year. And again, to bring you guys back to May of last season when JV was hurt and we were talking in the clubhouse in Comerica Park, he told me then, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, part of the reason I'm so pissed about this injury is that I know I was about to go on a good effing run. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Well, you look up 2 months later, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball after the All-Star break. And Scott Harris said, he changed his positioning on the rubber. That allowed him to elevate his release height a little bit, get back on top of his pitches, made some lower half changes, and all of those changes resulted in a 2.6 ERA over his final 13 starts, 1.76 over his final 6. So if that's the JV they're getting, this rotation's in pretty damn good shape.
Birchie, you posted on Twitter a video of Kevin McGonigal and Max Clark taking batting practice.
Here we go.
And I got to tell you, I'm kind of fascinated by it. They'd hit the ball out of the camera, so you couldn't really tell, but it looked like they hit some moonshots in there. What is being said about these two young bats?
Yeah, not just out of the camera, out of the stadium multiple times, and with room to clear those fences. That was a pretty exhilarating 90 seconds just watching them spray the ball around the field. It's funny, they're best buds, and they're also in a lot of ways polar opposites. Kevin McGonigal is this very measured, understated, mature beyond his years pro's pro. And not to say that Max Clark isn't a pro, but he is flashy and flamboyant and garish in the way that he presents himself. He's loud. It's probably the simplest way to put it. And, McGonigal was saying a couple of days ago, they were on the golf course, their golf buddies down here, and he was like, Clark was trying to get me into jewelry and trying to get me to buy jewelry. And I was like, nah, dude, I can't spend my money on that. But they're side by side in the clubhouse here. McGonigal wearing 85 like Ocho Cinco, Max Clark wearing 84. Obviously tons of attention on them, and you really can hear the balls pop off their bat anytime they step into the cage. They aren't concerning themselves too much with prospect rankings and how and when they might join this team this year, but they do know what is in front of them and what might be possible in the short term if they show well here, and in the case of Clark, to begin the season likely in the minors.
I'm worried with Max Clark that because he is so flashy and because he has such a presence on social media, that there might already be the fear that there's a nozzle factor or a canoe factor with him. Can you dispel that and like, is he okay? He may have an ego, but he's also a fun loving kind of guy, or is there something that goes with it to ensure that he's not this total giant tool bag?
I'll ask him tomorrow. Hey, Max, are you a giant tool bag?
Gator wants to know.
Yeah, Gator wants to know.
Well, because I hope he's. I think that there's a lot more substance to him, and I think that he's like, you hear him talk, and when he's talking baseball, this guy's laser focused. I think he knows what he's doing. But there's a social media aspect of it where it's a lot of look at me, and I'm just curious how that looks to you up close and in person. I've never seen him up close and in person.
Yeah, no, I totally get you, and I agree. Like, for as much shine as there is attached to him, there's a lot that is bubbling beneath the surface. That's the substance you're talking about. And, Kevin McGonigal was talking about today how Max Clark has always been someone he can lean on at every level of their journey through the minors. Anytime any one of them is struggling, the other would ask questions about what adjustments they can make and how they can get themselves back on track. So it's clearly a guy who cares deeply about his teammates and about the rise from the minors to the majors. He's not just this Instagram star. He is a a grounded baseball player who has the interests of his teammates in mind.
Anything from Framber Valdez last night or after the workout yesterday that stood out that he had to say?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He talked about what drew him to Detroit, and he made it seem like this was kind of his ideal landing spot all along. Obviously, would have loved to have finished his career with the team that signed him as an amateur free agent 11 years ago. But he said, once it was kind of clear that might not be an option, Detroit, reading the tea leaves here, was his top choice. And obviously, it helps that he got to know them pretty well the past 2 years, probably better than he would have liked. The Tigers knocked him around in that wild card round back in 2024 and then ended the Astros season. They knocked him around again last August, and that win was one of the differences between the Astros making the playoffs and the Tigers making it. And, he said he could tell from the other side just how competitive his group was, and that compelled him to join. And then, of course, Hinch flying to Florida and having that dinner with him was a reminder to Framber that this was the right place for him, for sure.
Appreciate your updates as always, Birchie, and look forward to hearing from you the entire time you're down there.
How's the sub sandwich update going for you? I know that you're
I'm
big on
glad
posting.
you guys asked.
You're
I'm about to go pick up number 5. I'm aiming for 7 by the end of today, which puts us on pace for at least 12 by Saturday night. So 12 and 4.5 days would be pretty good work, no?
Which is the place you're getting them from?
Publix.
Okay.
So the pub sub is like the staple offering at Publix down here. So they know me personally now in that store.
and these, I assume they're pretty damn good, huh?
Oh my gosh, dude! Like $8.99 for like 12 inches of meat and cheese and all the veggies you could ask for. It's incredible. It's heaven.
Is there a specific one you go to, or are you mixing them up?
They got like 14 options, so I'm trying to hit each one down the menu and then see where it leaves me.
What's been the best one so far? Have you ranked them?
Yeah, well, I went with the turkey, roast beef, and ham yesterday, piled high with provolone cheese and every other topping on the menu, honey mustard, mayo, some spicy mustard. Wow. That one took a while to get off the mat for a little bit, but it was well worth it.
I tell you, Doug never looked more he was so happy and then so disgusted at the same time.
When you led with turkey.
Doug's like, he's literally ready to throw the fist in the air for turkey, and then you're like, roast beef and ham, and Doug's like, oh.
Ruined it. Well, you got a lot of great content.
Green.
Yeah,
all
right.
Guys, talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, follow him on Twitter at Birchie Kid. That's at Birchie_Kid. And he writes on our website, 971theticket.com. Our man down in Lakeland, Will Birchfield, reporter on the scene, joining us throughout his time down there here on 97.1.
We all know how brutal these winter mornings have been, and with temperatures dropping into the single digits, your furnace works overtime. Don't wait for a breakdown in the middle of the deep freeze to find out that your system just can't keep up. So they need an emergency repair or a high-efficiency upgrade. The experts at Birmingham Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling have got you covered. Now, they've been keeping me and the rest of our community comfortable for years with fast professional service that you can trust. So whether it's your furnace, water heater, boiler, or water filtration system, schedule your appointment online at birminghamplumbingco.com. Birmingham Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Metro Detroit boiler experts.
All right, if you're just joining us, we actually opened the show with a lot of Piston talk and mixed in some college basketball stuff in the second hour. Did some Lions and Tigers and Olympics all throughout the program here on 97.1. And it's all fair game, man. You want to talk about any of those things, love to hear from you, whether it be the Lions off season, which is we're going to have a lot of reporting over the next month in the build up to free agency, contract restructures, etc. You got franchise tags handed out next week, which means we'll find out who truly will get to free agency and whether or not Tyler Linderbaum is one of them. You've got a Michigan team that had their largest deficit of the season and then scored on 21 straight possessions last night in beating Northwestern on the road with two young guards mixed in, getting a bulk of the minutes during the comeback, LJ Kayson and Trey McKinney. And then you got the Pistons, who went to Toronto and beat a team pretty soundly from beginning to end while the Pistons were shorthanded and Toronto wasn't at all. Toronto was 10 games over 500. They got Brandon Ingram. They got Scotty Barnes, both All-Stars. They got Jakob Poeltl back. And the Pistons countered with Paul M.F. Reed. Don't step to Paul Reed because Paul Reed will burn you. Paul Reed, who hit step-back threes. Paul Reed, who showed a drop step near the bucket, back to the basket move. Paul Reed, who had a Euro step bucket. Paul Reed scored off a pick and roll. Paul Reed had a dribble drive. Paul Reed, a reverse layup. Paul Reed took it to the rim and dunked it. Paul Reed, I think, hit his first 8 shots. His 9th shot was blocked. But Paul Reed filling in was outstanding last night, and Cade bombing away from 3, one of his better shooting games of the season. And the Pistons controlled this basketball game against a good Toronto team.
They really did. You know, they got off to a hot start, and Toronto was hanging with them for a little bit, and then they just put them away. What Paul Reed did in the first quarter was a season-long highlight reel. And he honestly did that in 8 minutes in the first quarter. It was incredible. 16 points in that first part. He ends up with a few blocks in the game, and he was rebounding the ball, and he was hustling out there, forcing jump balls, and just doing everything that you want a player to do, but he was successful. Like the way he just converted everything in the first quarter was kind of remarkable. Now, he cooled off after that first quarter, but he made his presence known that he can do it any way. He can knock down threes, he can drive to the lane, or he can post up. However you want him to do it, Paul Reed got it done last night. And now they have a little bit of a rest here.
I always like to look how teams are built, and you got to get the stuff at the top right? You got to get your first-round picks correct. Cade Cunningham, great pick. Asar Thompson, helping out a lot. Ron Holland is an important player for them. When you go get free agents, Tobias Harris, Duncan Robinson, they got to make plays for you. And Jalen Duren is a huge draft pick. I mean, that's worked out very well for the Pistons. And I went back and looked at this, and this blows my mind. Trajan Langdon was hired on May 31st of 2024. 26 days later was the draft. So the first thing he did was draft Ron Holland. He also, that was on June 26th. On July 6th, so the next week, he signed Danis Jenkins to a 2-way contract. He traded Quentin Grimes to the Dallas Mavericks for Tim Hardaway and 3 second-round picks. Hardaway was a key player here. On July 8th, so he's got the job for a month and 8 days, he signs Tobias Harris to a multi-year contract. On July 9th, he claims Paul Reed off waivers from the 76ers. And on July 11th, he signs Malik Beasley. That is like the backbone of last year's team and guys that are contributing in a big way this year. That is an extraordinarily productive first month and 11 days on the job. An extraordinarily productive 2-week stretch for Trajan Langdon. And it's paying dividends, man. It's paying dividends.
The start of it, absolutely. But what has he done over the last year? He just continues to add to the resume and helps to build this team into what it is. He brings in the personnel. JB Bickerstaff coaches them, and the players get it done. And everybody on this team is just buying into it. The thing that I love about this team is their depth. And it's the depth that everybody knows what the role on the team is. The role is to do whatever it takes to win basketball games. If that means you got to step in, play starters minutes, then go ahead and do that. And you have to contribute, and more than just contribute. You've got to really, put yourself out there, score some points like what we saw last night with Paul Reed. If it means you're only going to play 4 minutes a night, so be it. To make those the best 4 minutes you can be. And there's very low ego on this team. It's a team that's got a superstar player who does not have that superstar ego about him. He is a true leader. He gets guys to follow what he's doing. And Cade Cunningham has been fantastic with his development, getting better and better each year. And he's taken it to a different level right now with the Pistons. And as they head into the All-Star break, they've got 40 wins on the season. There's 29 games left. If they go 20-9, they will have 60 wins on the season. From a team that won 14 games a few years ago, it's incredible.
What do you like most about this team, people? 248-539-9797. We ask you because the phone lines will be packed when things are going south, but they're going really north right now. So what do you like most about this basketball team? 248-539-9797. We've got open lines. Let's get back to your calls. We go to Nate in Royal Oak. You're on 97.1. Hi, Nate.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I sent in the text about a half an hour ago about JMO and 2 first-round picks.
Okay.
I saw you guys bring it up. I didn't sign it because I was at work. But, yeah, I would definitely do that in a heartbeat. I would much rather have Hutch and Crosby than JMO and St. Brown. I love JMO, but we have St. Brown, so we don't really – I mean, St. Brown's the straw that stirs the drink. And I believe in Tesla wholeheartedly. Plus, over my time, I mean, I'm 35. I've seen them love fast receivers over there in Vegas or Oakland with Hayward Bay or Henry Ruggs. And I think them with spending their first pick on a running back, and they got those 2 great tight ends, they need a fast receiver. So you could sell it to them so easily.
Let me ask you a question, Nate, because what you said about I love JMO, but Amon-Ra is the straw that stirs the drink. Wouldn't the same thing be said about Hutch? You've got Hutch, so you don't need Crosby because Hutch is the straw that stirs the drink?
You can't double team both of them, though.
Same thing's true of the wide receivers.
True. But, I mean, I think Tesla is going to be great, too.
Well,
he hasn't done it yet. But
if they believe that, okay, and Nate, it comes with cap problems. I don't know if you heard us talk about how the accelerated hit of JMO's cap money would make it even more difficult.
I didn't know exactly when his contract kicked in. I knew it was $29 million a year.
The more we talk about shooting for the moon, and I give you a ton of credit, Nate, because you're the first person, one of the few, I should say, that'll put together a trade offer that the other side would actually accept. And they might accept even a little bit less than that. If I were doing this show in Vegas, I might do it for a first and a third and Jamison Williams. But I think 2 firsts and JMO would get it done. Now you'd have Max Crosby, you'd have to look at, and Gator didn't like it, but you'd have to start looking at a wide receiver at 17 possibly. But it's one of the first trade offers that that was legit, bro. I liked what you did. Issue cap. $25 million dead cap number on JMO's contract.
Right. And that's added with then you'd be taking on an additional $30 million in salary from Max Crosby. It'd be really tough to make that happen. There are ways you can do it. I don't think the JMO way is the way to do it, even though if this is the NBA, I'd do that in a heartbeat. Maybe not the 2 first-round picks, but 1 first-round pick, a third-round pick, and Max Crosby for Jamison, and Jamison Williams for Max Crosby. You can get me on board with that all day long, but this isn't the NBA, and and you can't just match up salaries and they cancel each other out. That's not how it is.
If I'm going super big, I'm going after Tyler Linderbaum more than Max Crosby.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And it's so boring. It's a center, but I mean, he's great. But already there are reports that there are so many teams that are interested in him. It's going to become a bidding war for a center, and does that drive the price up north of $20 million? Or are some teams just like, I really want him. We got $17 million earmarked for him. Well, you're out because, the bidding starts at 19.
It's Carson Anderson, 97.1. Doug Karsch, Scott Anderson, 97.1, 248-539-9797. Gator just spitting facts over there during the commercial break. Oh, it's good. Let's get back to your phone calls. We got Alex in Detroit. What's up, Alex?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Great.
So for me, like I told you, the screener, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Defense, as far as the Pistons go, the past few years, obviously, for me personally, I would use the Golden State Warriors as a template, and when we would, I would just watch the games, 20 losses in a row, I'm just a diehard fan. So I watched so I could see how far we are, what we're doing, that, not doing, that, they're doing or whoever. So
hey, Alex?
The whole point is.
Yeah, there you go. We're confused at what the hell you're talking about.
I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around.
It's all right. What do you got?
I'm saying I used Golden State Warriors a few years ago as a template. Like I said, when the Pistons were so bad, even after we got Cade, my whole point is until I knew that, we got better shooters. Obviously, everybody's getting better. We got the experience in the playoffs last year. I was happy about that. But I told myself, until we can start playing defense and we get a coach that's going to instill that like Larry Brown did, I'm just not going to be that optimistic. But after seeing how these guys are just playing that on both ends of the floor is just like
so you're
amazing
convinced now. Yeah, you're convinced now. Not only do they have the offense but they've got the defense to back it up.
Even though they're nothing like Golden State.
Yeah, they are nothing like Golden State.
No, right. So I guess the reason I brought that up was because, like I said, about 3 years ago, when they were making a run, Golden State Warriors, and I would those are the games I would watch. Lakers against them, Milwaukee, and the way Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, I feel like I would love to have him here. I feel like he's not
doing it again, Alex.
No, I'm saying I'm just saying I'm bouncing around, but. Clay, the way they would shoot the ball, the way that the league has changed, and it's just so fast-paced, and I was like, wow, we're far away. But if we can just learn to play defense, and now we're beating everybody's butt, and I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. And I got a quick question for you guys.
Okay, be quick.
If there is one missing piece for me, I feel like if we get Klay Thompson, I feel like we're going to go to the finals regardless.
What's the question?
But I would really love to have Klay Thompson. If there's a missing piece, who do you guys think it could be?
Well, trade deadline's passed, so you're only looking at guys that are
in the offseason
on rosters. Klay Thompson was my number one realistic trade deadline target. I thought it was realistic, but I don't know yet. You know why? Because I got to see what happens in the playoffs. To be honest with you.
Well, their team is set right now, and that's exactly the point. We'll see how they stack up with the rest of the league, the best teams in the league, come playoff time.
Whew.
Next.
Yeah, let's go to John. Oh, John, put us on hold.
I don't blame you, John.
We're on a roll.
First text we got was short and sweet my ass.
Tell me it's not going to be short and sweet without telling me it's going to